I've been terrible, folks. Welcome to the National Sim Racing Association Day Tune Sports Podcast Truck Series. No one has been able to hear anything in the chat, and folks, I thoroughly apologize to CraigSetupShop.co.uk. We just had the CraigSetupShop.co.uk poll shootout. Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast. It looks like Nick Kessler is going to take that Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast. Fire Peter. That's going to be a thing. It's my birthday, folks. Please don't be too hard. It's been a rough week here on 3Wide TV with technical gremlins. We had technical gremlins before the start with some audio issues. We continue to have those audio issues. So let's see if we can rapid fire through tonight's starting lineup. The number 88 of Nick Kessler was going to start on the pole here tonight, but Nick Kessler has elected to partake in the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast shootout, so he will start at the very back. He was tonight's CraigSetupShop.co.uk poll award winner. There he is, Pro Streamers, right up here in the 3Y TV booth. But let's shoot through that starting lineup. Nick Kessler, Philip Scott. Kessler starts from the back. Evan Gilbert's going to start third. John Canzero fourth. Jeff Price, Tristan Maher, Josh Sobel, Nathan Maurer, Justin White, Chad Waller rounding out your top 10 new to the league. Chris Darling calling his own number here tonight in the 11th position. Then in the 12th position right there, Randy Bledsoe. 13th, Vincent Valvano. Good qualifying run for him. Matt Cherry in 14th. Ben Mashburn, Jeffrey Johnson Jr., Jordan Shepler, Doug Milliner, 17th and 18th. Josh Corner, TJ Buck, 19th and 20th. Doug Neal, Travis White, Steven Doziak, Barry Knapp back there in the field. And then behind Barry, Scott Tompkins, 25th. Dalton Hayes, William Kerwin, Jason Shute, and Garrett Gleason, who's alongside me here tonight. But the pace car going to head down pit road. Green flag going to be in the air here tonight. Big shout out to North Central Photography for sponsoring tonight's race. Green flag is in the air here tonight for the first time, and it is side by side for the race lead as Philip Scott in that number 99 trying to go around the outside, but Evan Gilbert, who is the sponsor of tonight's race, he in that number 60 machine will be your race leader, G.
You can't beat that start for Evan Gilbert in that 60, getting the race sponsor out front. Surprised that Philip Scott was not able to take advantage of that top lane and get himself into the lead. But for those of you who are new to this version of Bristol, if you're familiar with Bristol of old running around the bottom of the racetrack, this version of Bristol is not that. This is progressively banked. There are multiple grooves out there. Guys are going to run at the high end of the racetrack more than they run at the bottom, so that's something to keep an eye on tonight.
So Evan Gilbert in the number 60, an early race lead here in the number 60 machine. Of course, it is the North Central Photography 200. Big shout out to them. We'll be curious to know just how many caution flags we have here tonight. That might make this race very long. If we don't have many caution flags, this race will just absolutely fly on by. You see the field starting to get strung out just a little bit. Some good side-by-side racing around here. This is Chris Darling, started in the 11th position. Right now up into 9th, digging that bottom groove. Gets around Justin White to solidify his 9th position. And here comes Matt Cherry. Garrett to always sliding around the racetrack in the number 54 machine. He is now up into the 10th position here tonight.
Yeah, Peter, I ran some laps in practice. I don't think Matt Cherry's going to be sliding around too much tonight, but I certainly wouldn't put it past him. These trucks seem very stable out there, and I think these guys are going to be able to put the trucks wherever they want to and make passes. But we also saw our friend Chris Darling out there. Him and Justin White seem to race around each other all the time as we have a big wreck in the back, and it looks like our Mashburn contest participant might be involved.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Nick Kessler here getting turned around in the number 88. Just got around William Kerwin and coming up here. So he's racing with the number 9 machine side by side right here, coming off into turn number 1. A little bit of contact between the 9 and the 88, and Dalton Hayes getting involved. The number 9 is Joshua Corner. So a lot of damage to the number 88 of Nick Kessler, who was our CraigSetupShop.co.uk poll award winner and participant here tonight in the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast challenge. Let's see if we can go kind of right on board here with Kessler and Garrett. Kessler was just trying to work his way up through the field when this contact happened.
Yeah, Nick was not looking to get involved in anything here. This is just one of those circumstances where the guy comes off the wall just slightly, and you're coming up a little bit to get a good entry into that corner, and you're just going to get hooked into the outside wall here. And it didn't look terminal for the 88, but it's definitely not going to make that truck feel good out there. He should be able to limp around, maybe get some damage fixed, but 42 gets collected there as well. So a lot of damage well early into this race, Peter.
So caution flag number 1 here tonight, unfortunately coming out here quite early in this race, folks. Do want to apologize for the audio issues at the top of the show. Want to give a big shout out, of course, to Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. They are in the chat here tonight. They are the series sponsor of the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, and if you want to check out their podcast, there's a link in the description to their Podbean link, and really, really cool to have them each and every week here in the chat on 3 Wide TV. Gotta say, we really appreciate them not only sponsoring the series, being here in the chat, but also sponsoring that great-looking number 54 truck right there of Matt Cherry that you see right in the center of your screen. But one thing about these caution flags here at Bristol Motor Speedway, they don't usually last all too long, although the pace truck lights continue to stay on. Looks like Barry Knapp in the number 3 machine for some reason is going to be on pit road. Joshua Corner in the number 9 is on pit road. The number 3 of Jason Shue has fallen 1 lap down in the early running. Dalton Hayes, he's running that Terry Labonte inspired throwback scheme. He's just now running back out there onto the racetrack in the number 47. I also saw some craziness randomly happening out there on the racetrack. I don't exactly know what's up, but hopefully we can get everything all squared away here in the early running. Let me go check out in the chat. All right, all good, 3Y TV. I knew there may be issues when Garrett said he was in the booth with you. Let's just blame it on Garrett here tonight. One thing we mentioned that you guys didn't get to hear is it's Jeffrey Johnson Jr.'s birthday here today. It just so happens to be my birthday here today. So I'm enjoying my birthday here with all of you here on 3 Wide TV in the North Central Photography 200 here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. The last great Coliseum, they call it. And it's because you see the action that you just saw right there just a little while ago with Nick Kessler. But Garrett, I think that's really going to work against Nick Kessler if he wants to try and win the extra bonus prize here tonight, brought to you by Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast. But looks like the pace truck is headed down pit road, and we're about to go back green.
Peter, I've had many bets that didn't start off good but ended up okay, so we're going to keep an eye on Nick Kessler. But I do want to apologize to everyone in the chat. I am a fat guy, and I tripped over the wire coming into the booth and disconnected the audio. I do apologize, but just think that's 5 minutes less you have to listen to me tonight, as we see a good battle for second place between John Cannizzaro and Philip Scott out in the racetrack.
Folks, it's all on me. It's not on Garrett. It's all on me here tonight. But the number 60, right now, your race leader, but Philip Scott looking on the inside. Garrett, we've talked about Philip Scott. We were talking about him last night here on the channel. If you missed the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here in the National Sim Racing Association, about how we think maybe he's turned a corner. He's a very aggressive driver, has been very aggressive, but caution flag is back in the air. Let's check out and see what happened. We'll hold that thought for a little while ago. Joshua Corner possibly being involved for the second time here tonight. Let's see. Oh, Stephen Doziak in the number 55 gets loose down there. Comes up the racetrack, and Barry Knapp in the 42. They make contact, and Corner gets into them in the back half of the field. So the 42 and the number 9 again being involved in this one. And Garrett, it might have all happened with Barry Knapp possibly making contact with the number 55 of Stephen Doziak as the 55 came back on the racetrack.
Yeah, I told Doze earlier they need to diamond the corners off on the long run. Looked like he was trying out the apron to see if there's some grip down there. Comes back up on track. We're getting close to a 3-wide situation here. Dalton Hayes had a bit of a run, and I don't know, Peter, if that looked like net code between the 47 and 42, pushing them down to the 55. You let me know.
It kind of seemed like maybe Hayes might have misjudged where Barry Knapp was out there on the racetrack. I know Barry was checking up for the slower number 55 machine, so that might kind of have led to that incident. Meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, just looking to see who might be our Lucky Dog Award winner. Is it going to be the number 3 of Jason Shue? Perhaps. Just waiting to see if Jason Shue... I mean, it looks like he's slowly making his way through the field, saying, hey, come on, guys, I need to get my Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. There he goes. Finally going to the outside. Big shout out to our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital for sponsoring the Lucky Dog Award here in the National Sim Racing Association. We do believe it will go to this driver right here of Jason Shu, and he's going to get himself back on the lead lap. And Garrett, he is a real-life driver. There he is with one of the trophies that he has won and is adjusting to the sim life here as we close in on the 10% race distance here in the North Central Photography 200.
Yeah, Jason Shu's one of those guys I talk to on a weekly basis, especially probably a daily basis on track when we actually race out there together. And just trying to get him in the groove here. I told him tonight, hey, you're going to have to run every lap like it's the last lap. You keep up the pace because you're going to go a lap down quick here if you just ride the back. And unfortunately, he went a lap down early. I'm guessing he made a pit stop early on. That's what happened. But good to see him get the Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog and have a chance at staying on the lead lap again.
Yeah, so that number 3 machine, we'll keep our eyes on him. Meanwhile, in the chat, we did have a question asked by Stay Tuned Sports and the over-under on caution flags here tonight. And Garrett, I'm going to put my over-under number at 7, and we'll find out what the chat thinks. We're already at 2, so I think probably the chat's going to go with over, but we'll see. 100% say over right now. I mean, hopefully we don't have 7 cautions, but we're already at 2 in the opening 20 laps, and if we continue that up, we will be on quite a few by the end of the race. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Evan Gilbert is hoping to get us back to green flag here shortly as they start to double up for the restart right here. Evan Gilbert, Philip Scott up there, John Canizaro, the number 14 of Jeff Price, Josh Sobel, your top 5 right now as they work their way around the under the caution flag. Ryder Lee Angle says we've already had a couple and cautions breed cautions, so over seems like the safe bet here. Man, I think we need to get you up here in the booth, Ryder Lee Angle. You're starting to talk like us up here in the booth, but hey, cautions do breed cautions, but the green flag is back in the air as they head towards turn number 1, and a great start for Evan Gilbert. And look at John Canizaro able to squeak on by the number 99 machine.
What a beautiful sight that is for Evan Gilbert to just be able to get that jump on the restart and be out in front and not have to worry about anyone else. Tremendous restart, and let's see what's going on here behind them, Peter. We have some battles throughout the field. Looks like Josh Sobel making the move on the inside.
Yeah, Josh Sobel, Nathan Maurer, they're battling for position right in front of Tristan Maher, and it looks like the 971 will be able to take the 5th spot on this restart. And Garrett, you talked about the progressive banking here at the Bristol Motor Speedway a little while ago. These drivers in the race, they're more going to they're going to gravitate to the top of the racetrack. At least that is usually the norm here at Bristol Motor Speedway. I have seen a couple of races where the inside of the racetrack tends to be the faster line. It's somewhat setup dependent, but at least for most of the races I've broadcasted here, that high line tends to be where you want to be in the race. Maybe not where you want to be in qualifying, but we saw Nick Kessler run right on the bottom side of the racetrack in the CraigSubshop.co.uk pole shootout a little while ago. And unfortunately, he's had his issues here in the early running. There's Chris Darling trying to get around Tristan Maher using that high line that I was mentioning. And if you guys in the chat don't know what progressive banking means, it means that the top side of the racetrack has more banking than the bottom side of the racetrack. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, we got a battle for the race lead as the wild child John Canizaro is trying to take the race lead away from Evan Gilbert. And oh man, they almost made contact. Oh, they do make contact.
They do make contact. Wow.
Holy cow, Gilbert going to save the number 60 machine, and we stay green flag, and the field absolutely getting kind of doubled up here as Gilbert's going to drop well back in the field. I wonder if he's coming to pit road here, possibly for maybe a lane change violation on that last restart, G.
Well, that would have to be it, Peter, because it almost looked like he stopped there, and I don't think Canizaro knew that he was trying to come to pit road or trying to give up spots, and we just had a little bit of a incident there. But we're just rewatching the restart here, and we'll see the good jump he gets. I'm guessing he did not maintain a plus or minus speed to what the NSRA administrator said, and now he'll probably come out 2 laps down or so.
Yeah, I really don't think that was a lane change. I think he did not change lanes at all. The only thing I can think of is that he did not maintain pace speed, because that is also a penalty here in the National Sim Racing Association. So the number 60, who has led the early running here tonight, like you said, probably going to fall a couple of laps down, but that will give the race lead to John Canizaro. There he is, Philip Scott in second, Nathan Maurer now in third, Jeff Price and Chris Darling, who has gained 6 positions since the drop of the green flag in the number 11 machine. There he is, the Taz Racing Customs, of course, the sponsor of the biggest mover of the race award here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. So big shout out to Taz Racing Customs, and that is a really good looking number 11 machine, and Chris Darling hoping for a better night than he had last night here on the channel. I'm not allowed to speak anything more of that, but the Taz Racing Customs number 11, so far so good for him. Battle a little bit further back, the Simbox number 77 of Doug Neal. Of course, he's Mr. Simbox himself. Make sure to check out his Simbox Facebook page. Racing with Ben Mashburn, who got that win earlier this season at the Milwaukee Mile in the Chester's number 4 F-150. And Garrett, I just absolutely love the fact that it was winner Chester's Chicken Dinner at Milwaukee. Perhaps he can get to victory lane here tonight in the number 4.
Well, he could definitely get the victory lane here, and I wouldn't be surprised. But going back to Chris Darling, I wouldn't be surprised if those pit boxes were changed after last night. Chris Darling embarrassed himself, he embarrassed his family, embarrassed his sponsors, and embarrassed us here in the booth by pitting in the wrong stall. And then the second time, he just crashed into the wall, Peter. So looking for redemption out there. You can't say it, but I certainly will.
Stay Tuned Sports says, how much is he paying you, Peter? I'll double it to talk about Chris and last night. Well, I think Garrett just did, so give Garrett the money. Maybe that's what Garrett saw in the chat. Randy Perdue in the chat here tonight. Let's go, Bledsoe, in number 81 R&R Motorsports. Let's go check out Randy Bledsoe in that number 81 machine here tonight. Excuse me. Give them a little bit of a hiccups. But Randy currently running inside the top 10 with Tristan Maher breathing down the back of the number 81 machine. A little bit of, I think, a new scheme on that machine here tonight. Let's see if we can get a better look of it. There it is. Got Harry's on it, as well as the Appalachian Moonshiners. Got the Tennessee Vols logo there just underneath that pillar there. And of course, Harry's, if you want to go get a razor and shave, is, oh my goodness, they're catching up to William Kerwin here very fast. And Garrett, Kerwin in the wall. That's going to allow Tristan Maher to scoot on by.
Yeah, it's a nice truck Randy has out there, though, Peter. Like you said, it's kind of intimidating looking, and that's what you want here at Bristol. And I also saw Randy Perdue in the chat, looking forward to being back next week. It's tough to only have one Randy out there.
Yeah, we're used to the Row 4 Randys, as they were known after their Row 4 start at Richmond earlier this season. Daniel Nova joining us in the chat as well, saying howdy, y'all. How's it going, Dan? Hopefully you're having a good night as well. Hopefully your day's going a little bit better than it did yesterday. Randy Perdue saying can't wait to be back next week. But how about this battle for the race lead? The number 99 Philip Scott, the National Ninja League machine, to the inside of the Piedmont Airlines number 12 of the Wild Child, Mr. John Cannizzaro. Remember, there was contact, Garrett, between John Cannizzaro and Evan Gilbert earlier in the race. And if you're curious about Evan Gilbert, that number 60 is currently many laps down. I'm wondering, Garrett, if maybe Evan Gilbert got some damage that he was required to pit and fix. I don't know. I expected him to only go 2 laps down, but he's multiple on the order of 5 laps down as of right now. But it is John Cannizzaro leading. And look who's starting to creep into the picture for the race lead. That's the 971 machine of Nathan Maurer as well. So the Simbox 971 looking good here in the early running. And of course, he won earlier this week in the Super Speedway Series as Philip Scott tries to go for the race lead. Now 3 wide for the race lead at Bristol. Philip Scott wisely backs out of it.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Nathan Maurer again. He snuck right up there, and now he's battling for the lead. And good job by Philip Scott, who's normally known for being aggressive, to back out of there. There is absolutely no need to be in the middle 3 wide there. And as these guys continue to battle for the lead, more and more trucks are going to creep their way up into the picture. And here comes Chris Darling, looking for redemption. Yeah,
Chris Darling just on the order of about a half second behind your race leader, John Cannizzaro Jr. These laps clicking by very quick here as we close in on the quarter race distance. Only 2 caution flags. We have had the longest green flag run of the race so far right now. And of course, that will be the kiss of death with the commentator's curse here. I'm sure we'll see a caution here very soon. Randy Perdue saying he's in Oklahoma for his daughter's graduation from boot camp. Congratulations to your daughter, Randy. I'm not far from Oklahoma myself. Dan saying, very good, better than yesterday, ready for some sleep, but have 4 hours left of work here in the UK. And Dan likes, well, I'm not going to say you like to work the overnight shift, but you work the overnight shift quite a bit and tunes in to 3 Wide TV while working. We really appreciate that. As Nathan Maurer has almost cleared the Wild Child, and looks like, sure enough, the 971 is your new race leader and new third place driver as well. Chris Darling now looking underneath the 12 of John Canizaro Jr. Saw what the 971 of Maurer did, and now the Taz Racing Customs Ford F-150, they almost touch coming down the backstretch. Darling, I think he might clear Canizaro here, G.
Wow, that was a power move by Chris Darling, and these veterans, Nathan Maurer, Chris Darling, using the bottom to complete passes. Very impressive as we see our race sponsor and pole sitter coming down pit road again, Peter.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate. It wasn't our pole sitter here tonight, but was kind of our de facto pole sitter with our Craig Setup Shop pole award winner, Nick Kessler, electing to start at the back of the field. And let's just check on Nick Kessler. He's currently not even on the racetrack. His night is done after receiving that damage, so not a good night for Nick Kessler. Unfortunately, we were mentioning that Nick Kessler has had races this season, Garrett, where he's been lights out, extremely quick, up at the front of the field, getting those Craig Setup Shop pole awards. But then he's also had races where he's really struggled and he's had difficulty finding consistency. Here tonight, it's not really of his own doing, which is really unfortunate, but he will have to go again next week. Meanwhile, looks like John Canizaro Jr. might have eaten up his tires here, Garrett. He's really starting to fall back. He has now dropped to the 5th position, under fire for that position from the number 17 of Tristan Maher, and Maher going to slide by, so move Canizaro back to 6th.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right there, Peter, about him using up his tires and maybe a little bit of that damage making him a little more snug and not able to turn the truck as much as he wanted. I'm curious as to if any of these guys are messing with brake bias to get these trucks to turn from what they originally thought, we've had a pretty good green run here. So I think that's definitely going to be key for some of these guys to get the trucks to turn so they can diamond these corners off and get a run underneath somebody. So something I'm keeping an eye on from my point of view, Peter.
Yeah, and I'm also keeping my eye on this truck right here. That is TJ Buck. We have seen some really good runs out of TJ Buck, not sporting the Bucky scheme here tonight. Has Bread Clan on the number 84. He's battling with the number 77 of Doug Neal. But the reason why I'm keeping my... Oh, man, Doug Milliner there in the Louisville number 6, smacking the wall hard at the top of the screen. But the reason I'm keeping my eyes on TJ Buck is he started back in the 20th spot. He's now wiggled his way up to 14th. Meanwhile, Doug Neal, he started back in 21st. He's wiggled himself up to 13th, although he's under fire for that position with TJ Buck right there, trying to sneak around him. Biggest mover of the race so far, however, is currently the number 11 of Chris Darling, plus 11 spots, just now working his way around the number 81. Something, Garrett, must have happened to that number 81. I don't know what happened to the number 81 machine, but unfortunately, the number 81 at Randy Bledsoe, he was inside the top 10 not all too long ago. He's now gone one lap down. Now Vincent Valvano in the 64 machine going a lap down. These laps are clicking by very quickly here at Bristol.
Yeah, these laps are flying by, Peter, and you and I definitely need to hire a pit reporter to get out there and get some of these scoops for us, because there's only 2 of us up here in the booth. And I was actually dealing with the situation on my phone here, Peter, so I'm sorry about being distracted. My friend's wife, Catherine, is dealing with a centipede in her house, and she's freaking out because her husband's asleep. So if anyone in the chat has any advice to help her out so she could leave me alone, please post it there. Thank you.
Well, let's just see if we can go back and see what might have happened to the number 81 machine. Not exactly 100% sure what might have happened. We saw when he got stuck behind the 07. So let's see if we can maybe figure out, did something happen here? They're just trying to figure this out. I think maybe it just tires going off on the number 81 machine. So I don't think anything has necessarily happened to him. But something has happened out there on the racetrack. Caution flag has happened out there on the racetrack as the number 17, Tristan Maher, something's happened to him here. Gee, let's see what happened here. Racing with the number 99 of Philip Scott for position. And trying to go 3 wide up through the middle and gets into William Kerwin. Kerwin goes around, and Maher heavy into the wall, and Randy Bledsoe, we were just talking about, gets a piece of it. Now look at the 2 machine also of Justin White getting heavy damage with the wall. Maher's engine has blown up.
Yeah, it looks like Thuggy's out there having bad luck again, Peter. He got hit every way there, and that truck looks destroyed. Looks like he's taken it to the garage. Some bad luck for Tristan Maher, which we've kind of grown to expect. But as you can see how tight this racetrack gets, especially when you're running 3 wide, and Tristan sees the truck in the outside wall there, and I don't think he knew the 07 was as close as he was.
Yeah, of course, the 07 of William Kerwin was not racing for position, and man, that is even in slow motion, G, you can tell that's a heavy hit. And look at the number 2 of Justin White there coming into the picture. A tough break for the number 2 of White, but this is going to bring all of your leaders down onto pit road as we are back live here, live scenes at Bristol. There's Chris Darling heading out onto the racetrack. Hopefully he found his pit box. Sure enough, looks like he did. So the 971 will win the race off pit road. The number 11, Chris Darling, then Jeff Price, the 99, Philip Scott right there. And looks like still Justin White going to come off pit road in the 5th spot. Is he still in the lead lap? Looks like it. So interesting that he's still able to keep that truck up and running. Vincent Valvano is on pit road right now, but we're going to have to wait and see who is going to be. Ooh, that's not a good. Nope, that's not a good shot either. Just no good angles of the 47. Was hoping to see who our Lucky Dog Award winner actually might have been Vincent Valvano, because I think we just seen him go a lap down. Let's see if we can confirm whether or not Vincent Valvano is our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner for all the folks back at home. I think it will be the case here, Garrett, but we'll just have to wait and see. Sometimes these things are easy to find out, sometimes they are not. And yes, I think.
Well, Vincent Valvano has a lot of fans out there, Peter, so I hope he gets his lap back. And he's one of those guys that, like we talked about in previous broadcasts, he's just been getting better and better with the more track time he gets. And this series, National Sim Racing Association, has been great for his development as a driver. But something interesting I found out about Vincent before the race, Peter, is that he runs a -6 driver height. Josh Sobel and some of the guys were trying it out earlier, and they couldn't even see above the dash. So Vincent Valvano's out there pretty much racing blind from some of our perspective, but does a great job out there and is a very consistent and talented race car driver.
That's extremely interesting. I've never ever, I've played around with field of view, but I've never played around with the actual driver height in these cars. I know some people do, I never have, but that is an interesting little tidbit. Green flag is back in the air as the pace truck heads down pit road. Nathan Maurer going to lead us back to the green flag. Chris Darling side by side for second with Jeff Price. And I've been really impressed with Jeff Price, Garrett, over the last couple of weeks here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Usually he's a driver who creeps his way. I almost spoke too soon as he gets wicked loose out of turn number 4. Great save for the number 14, but he's going to come under fire here from the number 99 National Ninja League machine of Philip Scott. Scott, who was just waning a little bit in that last run. He's going to get himself back up to 4th, and look who snuck himself up there into 6th. That is the number 13 right there of Jordan Shepler. Of course, Jordan has Julie Lane's name on the side, who's battling cancer right now. Julie, our thoughts and prayers are with you here on 3 Wide TV, and wish you all the best. And I gotta say, that is a great looking scheme for a great fight in the month of October. Of course, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We see lots of different pink trucks, but that one there has a little bit more meaning to it. The number 13 there tonight of Jordan Shepler. He is currently running in the 5th position right now, behind the number 14 of Jeff Price. G.
Beautiful truck there for Jordan Shepler, and an even better cause, Peter. And breast cancer has definitely affected my family, and I'm sure it's affected most families out there. And it's one of those things that we definitely need to continue to bring awareness to. And we have the wild child, John Cannizzaro, making a move here on Justin White, with Ben Mashburn up ahead and Matt Cherry behind him.
Yeah, and I think the number 12, Jen Cannizzaro, remember, Garrett, we saw him up there in the front of the field, and then we saw him start to fall back after receiving some damage from contact with Evan Gilbert. I think the number 12 machine actually came down pit road and had an extended stay on pit road to get some of that damage repaired, and we'll see whether or not he can start to march his way back up through the field. Just there making a pass on Ben Mashburn. That was for the 8th position. So the Piedmont Airlines number 12, a throwback to the early Terry Labonte days. He is now up there in 8th, running right behind Joshua Sobel. There is Sobel, as again, looks like Jeff Price having another big wiggle in the number 14 truck. We saw him lose a couple of spots a couple of laps ago, and looks like Travis White, the number 23, going to squeak around the outside. Now here comes Josh Sobel trying to put his left front fender to the outside of the number 14, but looks like Price able to get back up to the racetrack. As we are just checking out the chat right now, Brantley Roden sending his hearts to Julie. Stay tuned Sports, talking with Ryder Lee Engel. Gotta say, Stay Tuned Sports says we need the kazoo for old time's sakes. Man, we do. We need to find a kazoo sound clip to bring that back. Unfortunately, we lost the kazoo sound clip a little while ago here on 3Wide TV. Maybe we can somehow find a way to get that back. I'll see what I can do. Meanwhile, some bouncing off the outside wall happening here. Justin White racing with TJ Buck and Doug Neal. Buck and Neal have been racing one another for quite some time here around the racetrack. But, we're only about 18 laps or so, make that 17 laps away from the halfway mark here in the North Central Photography 200 in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series.
Yeah, Peter, like you mentioned earlier, this race will fly by if we stay green, and that's exactly what it's doing. About 15-second laps, 16-second laps around this place. They click off in a hurry, so you're looking at like 4 laps a minute. So everybody keep your eye open on all the action out there. Definitely, you don't want to miss anything, but we certainly do a good job of that at times, Peter. But what I noticed before with Jeff Price is loose twice on this run already. I did not see much of that in practice. I'm just curious if maybe he did crank the brake bias a little too much, and he's fighting that. But looks like he's stable out there, as John Cannizzaro did make his way around him.
Meanwhile, somehow, someway, up at the front of the field, Chris Darling got to the race lead. Now Philip Scott all over his back bumper. So Maurer, who was the race leader just a couple of laps ago, has slid back to 4th. And Jordan Schepler now finds himself up into the 3rd position. So while we were watching some of these other battles happening on the racetrack, things happening up at the front of the field as well. So Chris Darling leads for the first time here tonight. Then Philip Scott. Then Jordan Schepler. Maurer back to 4th. And then Travis White rounding out your top 5. There that is. So some really, really good action happening here at the last great Coliseum as they work their way down the front stretch. And Garrett, this racetrack, it's a whirlwind. You go around it so quickly. You're on the backstretch here, and just by the time you got the steering wheel straight, the truck has settled, you're turning off into the next corner.
Yeah, Peter, so it's hard to explain to people who aren't racing necessarily, but like think about going to the gym and having to do something 400 times. That's pretty much what these guys are doing on corner entry, is either you're tapping the brake, you're off the gas, onto the brake, whatever you might be doing. You're repeating that same motion for 400 times out there in 200 laps. And you have to pretty much be perfect out there, or you're going to end up running into somebody. So definitely some fitness is required, I would say, for a track like Bristol, especially in your legs. You don't want to get a cramp and run somebody over out there. But Chris Darling's doing a heck of a job with his timing out there as he's looking to pull away from the 99.
Yeah, great job by the field here tonight as your race leaders close in on William Kerwin once again to put Kerwin down another lap. Kerwin staying out of the way of your race leaders. Everyone going to go around him to the high line. But Darling able to get about 2 or 3 truck lengths now on the number 99 machine of probably about, 1.5 to 2 truck lengths actually between the 11 and the number 99. And that same gap back to the number 13 of Jordan Schepler. Then maybe a little bit smaller gap to Nathan Maurer, then a bigger gap back to the number 23 machine. No side-by-side action happening right now on the racetrack as you see your leaders go by the flagman right here. Look at everyone just kind of getting strung out just a smidgen all the way back to the number 55 of Stephen Doziak. William Kerwin has come down pit road. We are hearing, looks like he has come down for a pit stop and is now leaving his pit box. But look at John Cannizzaro here. Probably trying to make up those spots. Now he's got some of that damage repaired as we close in 4 laps away from the halfway distance tonight.
You know, Peter, John Cannizzaro is one of those guys that it seems like during a race he has like multiple personality disorder, where sometimes during the race he's Jennifer Joe Cobb out there, and other times he's Dale Earnhardt. He can't seem to make up his mind. So, John, if you could just put it all together for us tonight and pick one side or the other, we'd appreciate it. But he's doing a tremendous job getting himself in that number 12 back to the front here, Peter. Seems to have a lot of pace on this run.
Yeah, so the number 12 all over the back bumper of the number 23 machine, and Josh Sobel right back there in the picture as well. We'll bring up the battle box for this battle right now for the fourth position between Scheffler, White, Cannizzaro, and Sobel. Scheffler actually a little bit out of the picture here, but now we got this side-by-side battle between Jeff Price and Josh Sobel. And looks like Jeff Price, well, I thought he was going to make that pass stick, not able to do so. Just maybe had a little bit of wheel spin that we've been seeing out of the back channel production Chevy Silverado here over the last 30, 40 laps. Just not able to get that power down, not able to complete that pass. Here comes Sobel with that momentum on the high line. There's a little bit more banking on that high line, just a little bit more angled up there, which helps the race truck turn and allows you to get those runs off the corner. But Jeff Price doesn't care about that. It's a little bit flatter on the bottom side of the racetrack, but it's also shorter around the racetrack on that inside line. He's going to get around John Cannizzaro. So Jeff Price here starting to charge his way back up to the front. We've been talking about the fact that he's been loose. All these other drivers have been tight. So I'm wondering if Jeff Price now on this longer run, the racetrack's starting to come to him.
Yeah, Jeff Price seems to have something figured out here, Peter, as this run goes on. And watching this battle between these four trucks out there, Peter, it reminds me of being on the highway, and you think you picked the right lane, your momentum's going to go forward, and all of a sudden your run stalls out. And that's what some of these guys are dealing with as they make their way through traffic. You think that top lane's going to keep going, and all of a sudden it bottlenecks, and the bottom lane is able to make the pass. And there's nothing more frustrating than being faster than someone and not being able to pass them out there here at Bristol.
Meanwhile, we got the battle box up for the battle for ninth between the number 54, the 4, the 84, and the 2. So these drivers right here battling for position as well, but as you can see, not a lot doing for these drivers. Let's go check out the battle up at the front of the field for the race lead. It's still Chris Darling and Philip Scott, but Darling able to put another truck length or two between himself and the number 99 of Philip Scott right now. There's Philip Scott, and there is the number 13, Jordan Scheffler, who's fallen back to fourth. He was briefly up in third, but Nathan Maurer got around him. Meanwhile, back behind them, here is this battle right here. Sobel, Cannizzaro on the high line, Sobel on the inside groove. The 23 machine right there, he is in the 6th spot. So battle's continuing to rage out here as we are now into the back half of the race, and I think we've only had 3 cautions. So, at least right now, folks, of course, cautions breed cautions. The action heats up as these races go on, but only 3 cautions in the first half of tonight's North Central Photography 200. I know these drivers are going to be pretty happy about that, but unfortunately it took out, one of those cautions took out tonight's CraigSetupShop.co.uk poll award winner, Nick Kessler, who was trying to pick up some extra cash in the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast shootout to try and get up to the front of the field to win some extra cash. But Kessler, his night done very early on. As you can see, Travis White trying to do all he can to hold on to this 6th position, G.
Yeah, Travis White's been having a good run, and 6th position, that's not too shabby. It's a track here like Bristol, but he's got a lot of fast trucks behind him, and he might just be holding them up here a little bit, Peter. We'll see if Josh Sobel has enough pace to be able to turn underneath him and pull this pass off, because I don't think he's going to be able to get to the high side and do it that way.
Sobel sits right now in the 7th spot. Cannizzaro behind him in 8th. That's right on board here with John Cannizzaro, who I will say, Garrett, based off of that picture, he looks extremely slender. Looks a little bit like a stick. Not sure if he's not eating or something, but I will say, based off that picture there next to his name at the bottom of your screen, perhaps maybe should grab some food or something. Looks also very pale, so that looks a little bit odd as well. But Cannizzaro finds himself right now in the 8th position after what was a great start to the race here tonight, but some early contact has crinkled up the right front. You can just kind of make that out the bottom of the screen just above his name, and that seems to have been affecting his race pace unfortunately. You don't often talk about aerodynamics on the short tracks, Garrett, just because of the fact that it's a short track. You don't need a whole lot of aerodynamics, but here at Bristol, this racetrack has so much banking, it tends to be quite fast, and you do actually need some downforce on the front of these trucks to get around here efficiently, and I think that's what John Cannizzaro is running into, I should say, as he rides behind the 23, the 57. But look at that gap from the number 23 up to the next car in line, who is Jordan Scheffler, who just lost the spot a couple laps ago to Jeff Price. Price continuing to mount a charge here late in, I say late in the run. It's not super late in the run. These drivers have been out there on this set of tires for about 50 laps now. But the number 14 machine is pulling away from the 5th place of Jordan Scheffler right now. So let's kind of do a comparison here, Garrett. Let's see if we can kind of go through the field and compare these drivers' pace with one another. So up at the front of the field right now, you have Chris Darling, who is, those yellow bars go up, the lap count goes up. So on lap 112, which is at the very bottom of the graph, the race lead was 1.1 seconds. At the top of the graph, it's now to 1.6 seconds between Chris Darling and now Nathan Maurer. So let's go check out Nathan Maurer, because he just put a pass on the number 99 kind of out of nowhere. Let's go back and get this 3-wide TV replay, G.
Yeah, Nathan Maurer getting back into 2nd place here. Let's look at how impressive this pass was on Philip Scott. It looks like he's going to do it on the low side, Peter. And I don't think Philip's going to fight him much for it. Yeah, guy looks like Philip. Philip is doing a good job out there, not forcing the issue. But Chris Darling, Nathan Maurer, two of the best, it seems, on these long green flag runs on the older tires. And with their experience, that's not really surprising. But Chris Darling has a big enough gap that I'm going to be curious to see if now that with a new 2nd place car, if he can cut into it, as we're looking at a good battle between John Cannizzaro and Ben Mashburn, amongst others on track.
Yeah, 3 wide. That was extremely close. Let's go back and get that one on a 3-wide TV replay, because that was probably the closest we've had to an accident in some time here tonight. Let's get the look at this. Look at this, 3 wide between Cannizzaro, Mashburn, and Sobel coming out of turn number 4 at the bottom of the screen. And Sobel hit the wall in the 57 Harpoon design Toyota. And then the 54 of Matt Cherry gets into the back of the 57. The 54 of Cherry gets hit by the number 2 of Justin White, and then Justin almost gets hit by the number 84. And look at the big slide out of the back of the number 54 machine. He's able to keep it under him, but he's going to lose a little bit of track position now under fire from the number 2. TJ Buck there has been able to get around him, but 3 wide for that spot was extremely impressive. This is right now the battle for the 11th spot as they continue to run side by side. Daniel Noble in the chat saying, whereabout is it in Bristol? It's not the Bristol he's been to. The Bristol in the UK and the Bristol that's in Tennessee are quite a ways apart, as Justin White able to squeak on through to pick up that spot. We did get a quick glimpse of the number 55 of Steven Doziak coming down pit road. So the Total Nonstop Racing machine is coming to his pit crew. And Dan, I believe Bristol, Tennessee is right on the border with South Carolina. I want to say North Carolina, one of the two. It's right on the edge of Tennessee, not far from the border with some of the adjacent states. Really is a small town in Tennessee. It's not that big, but it is home to the last great racing coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway, as it has come to be known. Meanwhile, Garrett to Jeff Price is continuing to mount his charge. He's caught up to the back of Philip Scott. This is for the 3rd position, as Jeffrey Johnson Jr., the other birthday boy here in tonight's race, he just smacked off the wall.
Yeah, Peter, I'm just so impressed with Jeff Price and how loose he was early on this run and how consistent he is at this point in the run. Truly incredible pace that 14 has, and I'm just going to keep an eye on if later on when he makes his next pit stop, if he's that loose again, and if it takes him so many laps to get up to speed, because you'll quickly run out of laps here at Bristol. But I heard you alluding to Jeffrey Johnson's birthday. It's your birthday. Everyone in the chat, let us know what your favorite type of birthday cake is. I'm just curious. Let's hear it.
Yeah, be curious. What would be on my birthday cake? If you were making a birthday cake for me, what would you put on the birthday cake? I'd be curious to know. But right now, Jeff Price is on a charge. In fact, let's see if we can do something a little bit interesting here. Garrett, we don't often do this, but we can do it. Look at this. There is the gap between Chris Darling and Jeff Price over the last 8 laps out there. So it stayed pretty even, and that tells me, Garrett, that Jeff Price is not necessarily making any inroads on Chris Darling. However, what we can also do is bring up the gap between second and third, and that is pretty much staying about the same as well between Nathan Maurer and Jeff Price. Of course, Nathan Maurer has been strong on these long green flag runs as well. So we'll keep our eyes on the battle for the race lead, because it has a potential for closing up here, as it looks like Joshua Sobel about to go a lap down here to Chris Darling, and Sobel gets into the wall, and somehow we're only down to 9 trucks on the lead lap here at Bristol Motor Speedway as we come around to about 62 to go this time by.
Chris Darling is putting a tremendous pace down up there, and he's just a man on a mission. He doesn't care how many trucks he's putting down. He's hoping to put them all a lap down and be the only truck on the lead lap. But Chris doing a great job getting through traffic, which is difficult here because you almost have to guess what line guys are going into, as he's looking to put the 23 a lap down, and Matt Cherry's on pit road.
Yeah, Matt Cherry on pit road in the Stay Tuned Sports podcast, Ford F-150, of course, with Jimbo. Of course, he's in the chat here tonight. Jimbo, how's it going? Let us know what you've been up to this week. But Cherry, we'll see whether or not that is going to bring down more people in the chat. And I'm going to end the poll here now, folks. Most people said we're going to have more than 7 cautions. You've only had 3 in the first 141 laps, so we're going to have more than 4 in the final 60. It can happen. It can happen here at Bristol, but the number 11 to Chris Darling just put Travis White a lap down. We're now down just to 8 trucks on the lead lap. But Garrett, I'm starting to see something happening in the rear view mirror of Chris Darling, and that is that 971, the orange Simbox 971 machine is closing in on the race lead. When do you think these leaders are going to blink and come down pit road?
Well, if you're Chris Darling, I think you wait till you absolutely have to. There's no need to rush it. You have a big lead, comfortable lead. But if you're someone that's a little bit further back and still hanging on to lead lap, you might want to come get your service, try to get out front and start cranking off some good lap times, make up some track position. It's always a big part of it, Peter, when we're always trying to do the guessing game up here in the booth when these guys want to pit. But we think they could go about 100 laps on fuel, so I don't think anyone's in danger right now.
These drivers were last on pit road on lap number 67, G. So if you think that they can make about 100 laps, I know you got to turn some practice laps earlier, that would kind of put them to lap 167. So we believe they're in their window for sure to get to the end of the race. Meanwhile, the sponsor of tonight's race, Evan Gilbert, in the chat, saying, I totally got the flag for the lane change. Forgot that rule was in effect. That is an extremely tough break there, Evan, but big shout out to you and sponsoring tonight's North Central Photography 200. If you have a Facebook page, why don't you post the link in the chat here tonight? I thoroughly appreciate it. I'll put it in the description of the video as well. But if you have a link to like a Facebook page or a web page or something like that, post it in the chat, please, and I will approve the post, because it doesn't like links or emails or anything like that. I'll approve it. Would love to give you that extra little shout out. Scott Crump in the chat saying Rosario just missed a home run. Man, I'll tell you what, it is the World Series going on right now between the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. I'm a Texan myself, but I can't root for the Astros. Let's not talk about the Astros. They're a disgrace for the state. We're also getting word John Canizaro's come on pit road. William Kerwin in the Kerwin Racing Ford coming down pit road as well. So finally, we're starting to see some of these leaders come down pit road, but Chris Darling continuing to stay out there on the racetrack as Nathan Maurer continues to close in.
Yeah, this is going to be a good battle here between Nathan Maurer and Chris Darling, as Nathan Maurer has almost closed the gap, but pit stops coming up. It's going to be a chess match to see who gets on pit road first and takes advantage of the fresh tires, but you're always taking that chance that yellow's going to come out and something's going to happen to screw up your strategy, as we see the 99 Philip Scott, who was having a good run, making his final pit stop under green.
Yeah, so Philip Scott comes down onto pit road. Chris Darling continuing to lead the race, just checking to look for any other battles. This is the best battle for position on the entire racetrack, and it just so happens to be for the race lead inside 50 laps to go. So this race, the North Central Photography 200, clicking by very, very quickly here tonight. Evan Gilbert saying that he will post some pictures of tonight tomorrow. Really appreciate that, Evan. But the number 11 out front, still seeing a few drivers trickle onto pit road. Here comes Justin White on pit road. TJ Buck is in his pit box. There he is. Waiting on your race leaders. We thought, Garrett, they can go maybe another 12 laps or so until they absolutely have to come down pit road. We will test that to see whether or not that is the case or not. Might very well be. But here comes Chris Darling. Christopher Darling coming down pit road right now in the Taz Racing Customs number 11 machine. So your race leader is coming down with 44 laps remaining here tonight. And Garrett, we talked about what happened last night to Chris Darling. He has to be on the money here tonight if he wants to try and get a win here at Bristol.
Yeah, Peter, I hope we paid for the rights to some suspenseful music we can put in here if this goes badly. But all eyes are on Chris Darling right now. It's like he's putting for the win at the Masters. You want to be quiet and let him concentrate as he makes his way onto pit road. And here comes Nathan Maurer as well.
Do we have to clap quietly for Chris Darling as well? Well, let's see. He's in his pit box. So everyone, golf clap for Chris Darling. Golf clap for the number 11 machine. I'm golf clapping myself. Yep, that's right. Now he's leaving pit road right as Nathan Maurer comes in to make his pit stop. Jeff Price in the number 14, the back channel productions machine. He's just now coming onto pit road. There's Nathan Maurer. He hit his pit box. So we'll see how things all cycle out. The only thing I will say here, Garrett, is the fact that the number 11 machine was just a little bit timid getting onto pit road, it seemed like. Not trying to screw up. We'll see how that all shakes out, because there he is. And, looks like Nathan Maurer has done the overcut. Nathan Maurer getting around Chris Darling. So Maurer having a better stop than the number 11. This is going to be the battle for potentially the race win here, as the 971 gets caught up a little bit by the lap traffic of the number 23 of Travis White. Not the lap traffic, excuse me. Travis White is your race leader right now, but is on older tires. So that is the difference right there. Meanwhile, Darling now looking under the 971. Darling to not the race lead, but gets around the 971 up to second as they run right now.
If you're Nathan Maurer, no need to panic, because you were able to get a little bit of track position, get a little closer to Chris, and you were better at the very end of the run. But for Chris Darling, okay, you had a timid pit stop. Right now, it's your time to pull away. You were stronger early in the run. Now you have to build that lead with, 37 laps to go? 37. So, Nathan Maurer may be into the wall there, Peter.
Yeah, that could be absolutely huge. Nathan making a little bit of an unforced error there on that 971 machine. Let's see if we can go back and catch this one on the 3-wide TV replay. Coming out of turn number 4, it just kind of jumps up away from him, smacks that wall pretty good with the right side of the Simbach Chevrolet. Will that come back to haunt the 971? Well, only time will tell. Just 36 laps to go. These laps just clicking off left, right, and center here at Bristol Motor Speedway. They can turn a lap here, Garrett, in about 15 or so seconds. In fact, the fastest lap here all race long was a 15.11. So with these drivers turning these laps in just over a quarter of a minute per lap, this 35 lap race is going to be over in under 9 minutes. That's how fast these things click off as they work their way around Bristol Motor Speedway.
Peter, I don't want this race to end. I usually spend my birthday alone, and I really appreciate spending yours with you, calling this great action, the National Sim Racing Association, Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series, North Central Photography 200. And we still have a good battle as we're looking at the number 2 of Justin White, and that truck does not seem to have a panel straight on it out there.
Yeah, Justin White here trying to run down Doug Milliner. Doug Milliner pitted on lap 144 here tonight. The 2 of Justin White pitted about 9 laps later. So fresher tires on the number 2. You'd expect the fresher tires to prevail here. Meanwhile, Doug Milliner is running behind the number 99 of Philip Scott, but that is not for position. Scott is a full lap in front of Doug Milliner. Scott pitted on lap 150 here tonight. 8 laps, believe it or not, before Nathan Maurer and 7 laps before Chris Darling. So I don't expect to see Philip Scott be able to close in unless we get another caution flag. And if we do get a caution flag late in the race, could we have a BeerStreetJournal.com last call? Big shout out to our friends over at BeerStreetJournal.com. If you want to go check out the latest news in craft beer across the United States of America, make sure you check out BeerStreetJournal.com before the end of the race here tonight. But we could have a Beer Street Journal last call. We don't call it overtime here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. We call it the BeerStreetJournal.com last call. Might we see that? Might we see a North Central Photography 200 plus here tonight? Only time will tell. But looks like the number 2 of Justin White is able to make that pass. And look at TJ Buck slinging it on into turn number 1 and 2. He's also going to get past Doug Milliner.
These guys are out there taking every inch they can, Peter, trying to get as far up in the running order as possible before potentially we have a yellow. Let's hope not, but if it does happen, it'll throw a lot of different strategy at play between track position and fresh tires, so it's something to keep an eye on if we get to that Beer Street Journal last call.
We are currently down to just 8 trucks on the lead lap here tonight. There'll be 25 laps to go this time by. We're riding on board with your race leader, Christopher Darling, looking at the back, believe it or not, of the 8th place truck of Jordan Shepler, running that breast cancer awareness scheme. Right there in front of Chris. Jordan Shepler is trying to track down Ben Mashburn, who is running in 7th. So the winner from earlier this season at the Milwaukee Mile is solidly inside the top 10 as they run. And then John Cannizzaro Jr., who his comeback, Garrett, we talked about a little while ago. He got that damage. We thought he was mounting a charge to the front again. It seems like it's going to come up short here tonight with just 23 to go.
Yeah, I think John Cannizzaro made a driver swap on that pit stop. He put Mike Harmon in the truck, and all the speed went away. So, again, the personalities, John, you got to get it straight and maybe stick to one persona throughout the race. But, Peter, going back to Chris Darling, he has been dominant out there. I think that's safe to say. And this is one of the most impressive runs I've seen Chris Darling have in my short time back in iRacing. And going back to the NR 2003 days, I don't recall Chris dominating a race this much.
Well, we said that Cannizzaro was not continuing his climb to the top. But as I said that, he just made the pass for 5th position on Matt Cherry. Ben Mashburn also following him on through in the Chester's F-150. So move Mashburn up to 6th and Cherry back to 7th. So he lost 2 spots and 2 laps, unfortunately, in the number 54 machine. But this is going to be a good battle for that 5th spot to the end of the race, that's for sure, with Mashburn, who was last on pit road on lap number 147. 2 lap older tires than John Cannizzaro, but sure does look like Ben Mashburn might be a little bit faster here as the lap count continues to wind down. Meanwhile, here's the battle for the race lead, and Garrett, if anything, Nathan Maurer is actually close back in on Chris Darling as we're at 18, make that 17 laps to go this time. What do you think the 971 can do here late in the race?
Did Chris Darling get hung up in lap traffic there, Pierre? Because it seemed like he had a pretty big lead. I didn't see the 971 that close at all. But Nathan Maurer recovering from that little bit of damage he had with the outside wall, and with 17 to go, he's put himself in a position to win this race. It's all going to depend on who saved their stuff and who catches the lap traffic in the best position out there.
Matt Cherry, the number 54 machine, we just talked about how he was in 5th spot. Well, he is now slid back to 7th and finds himself 1 lap down. Jordan Scheffler, we can confirm, has also gone a lap down in the number 13 machine. He's now back to 8th, so believe it or not, 6 trucks now. Just 6 trucks on the lead lap here in the North Central Photography 200. I think if the odds, Garrett, coming into tonight on whether or not the over and under of 7 was going to be under was probably quite slim. It's, Cannizzaro in the wall. What's happened to John Cannizzaro in the number 12 machine? He's going to go a lap down, but something big just happened to the wild child, the Piedmont Airlines Chevy Silverado, here late in the race. We'll see what happened here, battling with the number 4 of Ben Mashburn. We saw these two just a couple of laps ago. Mashburn gets into the corner, contact between those two, and you can see a whole heap of damage on Cannizzaro's number 12 truck.
Yeah, Peter, like you mentioned, it seemed like Ben Mashburn was faster than John Cannizzaro out there, even though he was about 2 laps behind on tires. And with the leaders coming, it was time to go. And if somebody's holding you up, you have to go. And unfortunately, it's just one of those situations. Ben and John got together out there.
So Cannizzaro going to drop from 5th back to 7th. He does have Matt Cherry in front of him for the 6th position, and the lap truck there on the bottom side of the carsforcause.org, number 64 of Vinny Valvano. We'll see what John Cannizzaro elects to do, but with just 10 laps to go, we'll focus back onto the battle for the race lead because Darling has it. Nathan Maurer not all too far back, also slightly fresher tires on the 971, but Garrett, I'm just going to go back to that big moment that Nathan Maurer had just a couple of laps into this green flag run on these set of tires. He hit the wall, did a lot of damage to the right-hand side of that truck, and now gets into the back of the number 9 machine, and that's just going to compound those issues I was just talking about. He's going to lose some ground on the lead and a whole heap more damage to the front of that 971.
Yeah, Chris Darling's not complaining about what just happened there. That's going to give him plenty of cushion to bring these final 7 laps home. But with all these crazy battles on the racetrack, this race is far from over, Peter.
And Jeff Price in the number 14 machine has made a pass for the 3rd position on Philip Scott. So that number 14, Jeff Price, having a great race here tonight. I'm sure he would love to, well, maybe he wouldn't because he's had so much long run pace. He's going to say maybe he'd love to have another caution to have a crack at the leaders, but with just 6 laps to go in his long run pace, I'm sure he'll be happy to finish 3rd, but it's been a really impressive run. We're watching this battle right here between the 54 and the 12 because they continue to do battle up at the front of the field. The race lead is now up to a 2nd with that big moment just a couple of laps ago for Nathan Maurer. But this right now is the battle for 6 between Cherry in the 54, the green machine, and the number 12, the white and blue, on the inside as they, of course, battle around with some lapped traffic. The number 77 of Doug Neal behind him in the 12th position. Hasn't been the night the number 77 was hoping tonight.
Yeah, a lot of guys out there not having the night they hoped for, especially with these long green flag runs. You don't get an opportunity. You go a lap down, and then all of a sudden it becomes 2 laps down, and you're just in trouble out there with no opportunity to get your lap back. So good job by everyone fighting through all the adversity tonight and the lack of opportunities to get fresh tires and maybe make a move. But Chris Darling's 2 to go, coming to 1 to go, and he's not complaining.
We would need a caution flag in a hurry if we're going to have a Beer Street Journal last call here tonight. Does not look like it. White flag waves for Christopher Darling coming into turn number 1, the Taz Racing Customs Ford F-150. And Garrett, doesn't look like a single scratch on the MaxGrafix.co painted scheme here tonight as he works his way coming out of turn number 4, going to victory lane in the North Central Photography 200, Chris Darling. Garrett, what a commanding performance here tonight for that number 11.
Wow, Peter, this is going to be incredible to talk to Chris Darling in a good mood again. What a tremendous drive by the number 11 Taz Racing Customs truck out there. And Nathan Maurer gave it all he had, and just unfortunately, I think that damage is what cost him at the end.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what the number 971 of Nathan Maurer has to say after that. But meanwhile, on the front stretch, teammates doing burnouts together, Chris Darling and Ben Mashburn. There we go. Those two drive. Well, Ben Mashburn just going to disappear for us. But Taz Racing Customs getting to go to victory lane. I wonder if Chris Darling himself is going to want to pick up one of those Taz Racing Customs custom diecast for that race win here tonight. You know, that'd be kind of cool, Garrett, to kind of get a race win diecast, the custom Taz Racing Custom diecast at that, as he impales the outside wall. He's going to be really one happy camper, that's for sure. Matt Cherry coming alongside to kind of give him some congratulatory burnouts as well. Chris Darling here, folks, a commanding performance, getting the win over Nathan Maurer by about 5 seconds at the end of the race. Jeff Price, another 2 seconds on back. Actually, no, I take that back. I apologize. About 2.3 seconds between Darling and Maurer, and another 2.3 seconds back to Jeff Price, and another 4 seconds back to Philip Scott and Ben Mashburn, who was 1 lap down at the finish. Garrett, 4 trucks on the lead lap here tonight.
Wow, Peter, that's like an old school race with all these trucks going lap down, but that just proves how much pace and consistency Chris Darling had leading this field. And if you finish on the lead lap, that's an achievement tonight, because there's only 4 of you out there, and there's guys that have plenty of pace normally that ended up 1 or more laps down. So tremendous job, Chris.
Well, just looking to see if I can get some of these post-race interviews lined up for all you folks back at home. I know you'll want to hear what your top 3 have to say. Definitely going to be some interesting post-race interviews. That is for sure here tonight. Big shout out, of course, to Chris Darling for getting that race win. But Garrett, time to dial up tonight's third place driver of the number 14 machine. Garrett, I believe you have caught up with the number 14 of Jeff Price.
Hey, Jeff, Garrett up in the booth. Tremendous run out there tonight. You seem to have had a lot of pace on the long run. Just let us know how your night went, and if you think maybe you needed another 100 laps or so to get that truck to victory lane.
Oh, well, excuse my voice cracking. I'm dead, guys. But no, like, really, as long as I was struggling on the short run, it wouldn't have mattered no matter what. I'd lost so much ground every time we had like come out of the pits or anything just on the start. So I'd lose 5 or 6 seconds. It felt like probably not that much, probably 3 or 4 seconds. And then I'd just gain it all back and just get back to neutral ground. But God, that was the most fun I think I've ever had at Bristol. It's really a dream race for iRacing to finally get us a bottom groove going. And for the guys who are old school and really love the bottom groove, to be able to get that to actually work, that was so much fun. Like, I had a blast. So many respectful guys, some not so much, but you know, for the most part, the guys let us race. And yeah, really, my arms are dead, and that's really how you should be. I don't think I could have made another 100 laps, to be honest.
Jeff, what's more impressive than your run out there tonight was how high your voice went. So I just want to say that of all the things we've had up here doing interviews, that was certainly unique. But just going back, you said obviously guys were able to run the top, run the bottom. Where did you find most of your pace out there?
Well, it was kind of weird. Like, for a few laps, I'd find it up top, and then the rest of the run, I was right on the bottom to right about a lane off the bottom, just trying to just roll the bottom the best as I can, just burn that right front up, because if you can burn it up just the right way and keep the grip in it and not overheat the tire, you're really going to make some serious speed. So at one point there on the restart, after I think that was the only caution. Was that the only caution, or there were 2 cautions?
There was 3 cautions, actually, but they're quick right in the beginning.
Well, the last caution there, like, I fell back to 8th, and by the time we pitted, I was back up to 3rd. And that was just because I kept the right front as cool as I could, and I just rolled the bottom. And guys, I just watched them one by one burn their stuff up, and I knew with my driving style that I could save the tire and just do the best I could to just drive back through the field. You know, this is a dream. Like, I've never, ever had a race here go green that long, more than 100 laps. Never. So that's always what I've always needed here, and I finally got it, and I kind of proved that I could drive short tracks this season. So good run at Iowa for the win, and top 3 here. I mean, I'm getting starting to like these short tracks. So I'll hopefully the next one we can do good at.
Yeah, tremendous run out there tonight. Congratulations on 3rd place. I saw you painting the new truck you were sharing on Facebook. If you want to shout out your sponsor and let us know what your thoughts are headed into Talladega next week.
Yeah, well, I have Back Channel Productions, man. Like, I really, really love this guy. Like, truly, like, he's like family. Nick Davis over there, he follows around all these like little stadium monster trucks. They have a bunch of little miniature monster truck guy, little kids who come in to do it. He really supports me. He doesn't have to, but in the past I said, look, if you don't want to have to do this anymore, like, you helped me out, because he used to sponsor a league I did. But he stayed on board with me for almost 2 years now. So hopefully we can keep this relationship going. He's a really awesome guy. Go check him out on YouTube and Facebook. Beach Designs, Andrew Beach. I'll just go back. My painter, he knocked it out of the park. I love that guy. Like, he makes all my paints. He kind of got behind, and so I had to run last year's paints, which I was perfectly fine with. But he definitely came through with me. I love this paint, and every time he makes me a paint, it seems like the new one always gives me luck. So I always appreciate Andrew for helping me out there. Stay Tuned Sports, really an awesome podcast. Go check him out on any of your where you get your podcast, because like, really, it's very entertaining. Like, I always love listening to it. He's a supporter of mine, so I really like to support him, and hopefully I can keep showing up and hopefully have a good race next week at Talladega. I got a pretty good teammate in John. If we can just stay out of danger next week, I think we can get ourselves a win there too. So hopefully that answered all your questions. I know I talk a lot, but I appreciate it, guys.
Oh, perfect. You're definitely running behind Philip Scott as far as screen time goes, but we appreciate having you. Congratulations on your third place run, and we look forward to seeing you next week. I believe Peter Short has caught up with our second place finisher, Nathan Maurer.
Yeah, I'm down here with the driver of the 971 machine. A really impressive run for him here tonight. I got to say, Nathan, at one point, I thought you were in the catbird seat. Fresher tires in the race lead, but a spirited charge by Chris Darling there early in that last run, and some contact with the outside wall and some late race contact as well seemed to thwart your attempts to getting back around the number 11 machine. Kind of talk us through that, but all in all, I'm sure you're happy with the pace you had here tonight at Bristol.
Not happy with the P2. I want to get a win to make myself better chance of getting into the playoffs. Yeah, if it ain't JT Poole from last season, it's Chris Darling this season. I haven't won a race in this league since that bounty was put out on Mitchell Adams, and I just dominated that race. And I thought maybe it would happen tonight, but I knew within 30 laps Chris Darling was going to win this race. That speed he had, we were just matching lap times. But yeah, that last pit cycle there, he pitted a lap before me, and I wanted to pit there, but I was like, I don't want to get run over from behind. There were some guys coming on fresher tires, and people were talking. So I went around. I was like, I'm going to have to be super aggressive here getting on, and I know Chris so he just told me he was a little soft getting on pit road, and got out in front of him, and I kind of didn't really. I felt like he kind of dove bomb me a little bit going in whatever turn that was, but hey, it's Bristol, so I gave him the bumper coming back out of the turn, and I was hoping to get him a little bit looser than what I did. I didn't hit him hard enough, I guess, and then me and Chris raced in another league on Tuesday nights where we were teammates, so I can't be too rough on him. But yeah, he just had the short to medium run speed. I had the better long run speed, but yeah, it's Bristol. Then field filler there at the end ruined my race. He just checked up on the high line. I guess he's going to hit the wall, he said. I don't know. But congrats to Chris. Second place. Yeah, I'm happy. It's going to be up. I think I got the most points in the league without a win. So still a little good on that side of things with points, but I need a win.
Yeah, definitely. One of those races that you'll look back on and go, "Oh man, how close that was to coming up as a win." But all things considered, a really good run for you here tonight in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, the Truck Series. Next week we go to kind of a free for all Talladega Super Speedway. You looking forward to going to Talladega?
No, I'm not a super. I'll start in the back and just hopefully everybody that thinks they can win there in the first 10 laps wrecks out. And yeah, I don't know. We got a super speedway series that Chris has on Thursday nights, and I'm second points to Chris Darling, of course, there too. So we'll see what happens. But now, congrats to Chris again tonight. I could have took advantage of them a couple of times where the lap cars kind of crashed right in front of them, but I'm not that kind of guy to pass for the lead. Especially if it wasn't Chris, I probably would have. But I like Chris, so wasn't gonna dirty dog him tonight. But yeah, Talladega. Who knows will win? That's kind of good. I don't know. It could be anybody. Heck, Doug Neal might even squeak out his first win. You never know.
Well, we'll put the pressure on that number 77 machine. How about that? But before we let you go, Nathan, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
All the sponsors that are tuned in right now. I know. Stay tuned. Oh no, I can't remember. I'm in so many leagues.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
It's Stay Tuned Sports. Thanks for them coming on board with Chris. Chris for running this league. I don't know who all the other admins are. I just know Chris is the main one. He, between running this league and all the other leagues he runs, does a hell of a job doing it. And my sponsor, Side of My Truck Says It All, Simbox. Doug Neal. He didn't have a good night here tonight. I think it was a setup. I wasn't a big fan of this setup. You could drive it anywhere. I kind of like running the high line, but it's kind of cool that I don't know if you noticed me and Chris were running two different lines here tonight, which was kind of cool for once, I guess. But and thanks to 3YTV for broadcasting. You guys, Peter, you do a great job broadcasting stuff.
You say that. Just wait till you watch the broadcast and you find out the first 5 minutes are without any audio. But anyway, Nathan, thanks for stopping by here tonight. Congratulations on your second place finish. We'll see you next week at Dega.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's second place finisher, the 971 of Nathan Maurer, just coming up a little bit short there at the end. And now Garrett Gleason has caught up with Mr. Chris Darling in Victory Lane, G.
Wow, Chris Darling, what an honor it is to be in Victory Lane with you again this season. A tremendous run out there in your number 11 Taz Racing Customs truck. Where did you find all that pace? Did that have anything to do with that lucky horseshoe you have shoved inside of your body at some juncture there?
You know where that horseshoe is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where all that speed came from. It was pretty awesome. I think actually Doug Milner was in my chat the whole time. I think he gave me all the speed. He was like, it was like voodoo power or something. I don't know what it was. I don't like that track, but shit, I like it now.
Yeah, we liked watching you out there, and Peter and I made a comment during the race, and it was back to Peter that I said, all the years we raced with Chris Darling, I don't recall him being this dominant at anywhere. Do you recall any races where you led this many laps and pretty much set the pace out there?
No. Iowa, but let's not talk about Iowa. I just want to race. Jeez.
So the thing that everyone in the chat was the happiest about was that you actually were able to find your pit box tonight. Did you have any additional pressure on yourself as you went down pit road for that final stop?
I literally paid Peter not to talk about this. That's messed up. No, I double checked Ben Mashburn's paint. I made sure that he didn't have my pit flag or whatever you want to call it. And honestly, I thought I was going to lose the race on pit road on that last stop. I got on the pit road so soft, and I was like paying attention so much. I was so worried I was going to mess it up. So I ended up getting around Nate somehow, but I was pretty worried.
Well, you definitely needed this run as far as the points go, and this is certainly some momentum to head into next week where at Talladega anything can happen. So going into Talladega, what's going to be your strategy? Are you going to try to get to the front, or are you going to ride at the back and hope to have a good points day?
I'm checking the record. I got my win. I don't know. You know what? Riding in the back has never worked out for me. I think most guys will start telling you that. Like, I don't think it works out for most people majority of the time, honestly. So I think just getting up front and trying to stay out of the wreck by being in front of it is probably the best move. And if you get caught up in something, you get caught up in something. But I don't know. This win was definitely needed. But I don't know that it quite necessarily locks me in. There's quite a few different winners so far, and we got quite a few races left. So I still kind of got to worry about the points a little bit.
Well, certainly congratulations on a tremendous run tonight. You are the league administrator, and you've brought in a bunch of tremendous sponsors. So have at it, bud. Let them know how much you appreciate them, as much as we appreciate them as well.
Well, mainly I want to thank Doug Milner, my awesome crew chief. I was yelling at some lapped cars at the end, and he really calmed me down. So thank you, Doug Milner. I love you. Please race with us more often. I got to thank Stay Tuned Sports, Brookstone Animal Hospital, Taz Racing Customs. They're on my truck as well. Beer Street Journal, all the sponsors that make it go. North Central Photography sponsored the race tonight. That was like a sort of a midweek thing, so I appreciate that. And 3YTV, got to thank you guys. You guys do a great job every week. I appreciate it. I like hearing Garrett in the booth with Peter. Maybe we try to get all three of you guys, you, Peter, you, oh damn, I can't even talk. maybe we try to get Peter, Garrett, and Drew up in the booth. Maybe we do like a threesome up there, and then Peter won't know who to call Drew all night.
Yeah, darling, I'm not going to go into threesomes. The last one I had was pretty awkward, so let's leave that at that, and we'll discuss that during the week. But
Your dog doesn't count. Come on.
Congratulations on the win. Let's get out of here before the FCC gets involved, and we'll send it back to Peter.
Thanks, guys.
All right, folks. Well, that is Garrett Gleason with Christopher Darling, not Drew Eisenman. I do want to give a quick shout out to Drew. He's not able to make it here tonight, but he also had a birthday this week. So a couple of birthdays in the 3-wide TV camp this week, and going to be a lot of fun. Hope Drew is doing all fine here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. What a crazy race it was. I'm surprised. So few caution flags here tonight. Let's bring up the final race results, and of course, we'll go through the Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race Award as well. Always fun to give that out at the end of the shows. Here in the North Central Photography 200, Chris Darling going to take home his first win of the season. Nathan Maurer going to come home second in the Simbox Motorsports 971. Jeff Price rounding out your podium there in third. Philip Scott in the number 99, the only other truck on the lead lap in the number 99 there in fourth. Ben Mashburn, first truck, one lap down in fifth. Matt Cherry in the 54, finishing in sixth. John Canizaro in seventh. Jordan Shepler, TJ Buck, and Justin White rounding out your top 10 there, G.
Yeah, hard-fought top 10 for those guys. Congratulations. Doug Neal coming home in 11th place in 77. Travis White, who had some top 5 pace at certain points of the race, comes home in 12th. Doug Milner, who gets to win as a crew chief tonight. I don't know how he drove and crew chiefed, but good job coming home in 13th.
Impressive. Yeah,
Jeffrey Johnson, not the birthday he was hoping for with the 14th place finish. Vinny Valvano did not have the pace tonight, but comes home top 15. Stephen Doziak, 3 laps down in the 16th position. Joshua Kerner coming home in 17th. William Kerwin is our 18th place finisher in the 07. Josh Sobel, wow, that is a disappointing run for him, coming home in 19th. And Dalton Hayes rounds out your top 20, Peter.
Yeah, not sure what happened to Joshua Sobel there. I think he just pulled off the racetrack in the number 57 truck. But Tristan Maher finishing in 21st here tonight after he got some damage. Randy Bledsoe, the 81, also got damage. He pulled off the racetrack in 22nd. Evan Gilbert, we saw what happened to him early in the race. He led some of the early laps here tonight, but unfortunately got a black flag penalty, finishing in 23rd. Jason Shue, 24th here tonight. And then it was a really rough night for our CraigSetupShop.co.uk Pole Award winner, Nick Kessler, who tried to attempt the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast driver to try and start from the back to get some extra cash, but unfortunately, Nick Kessler was involved in an early accident, going to come home 25th here tonight. Barry Knapp, 26th. Chad Waller did not start the race there in the 66th, finishing in 27th. And of course, Scott Tompkins, out of race official, technically 28th, but he wasn't in the race. And Garrett, you finished last again there, buddy. Dude, you're going to have to stop finishing last here when you're up in the booth with me. You're going to have to commentate in race at some point. I mean, I don't know. You might be out of a racing gig. You might just have to go up here in the broadcast full time because you keep finishing last. So, I don't know. And maybe I'll get fired from being up here in the booth. Maybe I'll have to be out there in the trucks. We'll just have to wait and find out. Tonight's Taz Racing Custom Biggest Mover of the Race Award. However, we always give that out here on the channel. That tonight is going to go to the driver of the number 84. That is TJ Buck. Started 20th here tonight. Going to come home in the 9th spot. 11 spots gained for TJ Buck. We want to give a big shout out to Taz Racing Customs for handing out that award each and every week here on the channel. They specialize in making custom diecast, whether it's an iRacing car or a real life vehicle that you want a wrap of on a diecast. Check out our friends over at Taz Racing Customs. Their Facebook page is in the description here tonight in this Facebook video. But Garrett, going to be a lot of fun next week when we go to the Talladega Super Speedway in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Anyone can win. It's another opportunity for a driver to punch their ticket into the chase for the championship.
Yeah, Peter, it broke my heart not being able to race here at Bristol, but I learned so much, and I was so impressed with this league and the series, and what a tremendous race. And next week, you're right. Some drivers consider this one of their last chances to win a race and punch that ticket into the playoffs. And I can't wait to see all the action out there on track, Peter.
I will, just thinking back on this race here tonight, probably the reason we only had 3 cautions was the fact that you weren't in the field. So I think all of the drivers who actually did start here tonight, all 26 of them, should be very happy you were alongside me up here in the booth here, Garrett. But just want to say a great race here tonight. Big shout out to a lot of the series sponsors here. We're just going to run through them very quickly. Of course, Stay Tuned Sports, their Podbean link is in the description. CraigSetupShop.co.uk for sponsoring the Pole Award. Best setups in all of iRacing. Make sure you check them out. A very reasonable price to pick up all their setups that they have to offer throughout the year. MaxGrafix.co for all their awesome paint schemes. Brookstone Animal Hospital, we gave out a couple of their Lucky Dog Awards here tonight. BrookstoneVet.com. Taz Racing Customs. BeerStreetJournal.com for sponsoring the Last Call, which we didn't get to use here tonight. Not very many Beer Street Journal Last Calls this season, but make sure you check out BeerStreetJournal.com as well. Big shout out to our friends over at SimTV for the camera angles we have each and every week here on the channel as well. But I think that's just about gonna do it for all of our thank yous. Congratulations to Chris Starling. We'll see you guys next week, 9 o'clock Eastern at Talladega Super Speedway. Have a good night. We shall see ya.